So welcome to another episode of the Impro Pod podcast. My guest today is Angela Kingdon, the co-founder of the Autistic Culture Podcast Network. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So tell us a bit about the Autistic Culture Podcast Network.
So I started a podcast, I guess 4 years ago, called the Autistic Culture Podcast. It grew. We got, I think, like 100,000 downloads in our first few months. And we were sort of not exactly armchair diagnosing, but pointing out autistic traits in famous people from history. So whether it's Hans Christian Andersen or Steve Jobs or Isaac Newton, each episode we would sort of deconstruct what was autistic about characters or historical figures, or even our number one episode, not surprisingly, Taylor Swift is autistic. And just our term for autistic was looking at what are common traits associated with autism, like bottom-up processing or stimming, which we call rhythmic communicating. What are those traits and where can we see them in culture? An example is what an incredible DJ, the artist Questlove is. So he was actually diagnosed at like 2 years old as autistic, but in his family, it was really nurtured. He grew a huge collection of music because that's his special interest, and memorized over 20,000 different songs, what their beats per minute are. So he's one of the fastest DJs because he knows the beats per minute of like every song. It's incredible, his knowledge. And that is a representation of autistic culture. And my one show grew into 3 shows, and then we merged with the Neurodivergent Experience, which is Jordan James, the Autistic Photographer's podcast. They had 3 shows, and now we're up to 33 shows on the network of different autistic creators that are not necessarily talking about having autism or the symptoms of autism, but we're really talking about how do the traits of autism affect our jobs, our lives, parenting, fashion, our obsession with maybe it's wrestling or Magic the Gathering or My Chemical Romance. And we really explore all those aspects of autism through a cultural lens.
And so you're autistic yourself?
I'm autistic. I was diagnosed at 39. So yeah, that was quite a surprise. And let's see, that was 13 years ago now.
And did it change your life in any way when you got diagnosed?
It did. I am not somebody that was heavily masked. So a lot of people like camouflage, they pretend to be someone else, they become a people pleaser. I didn't do any of that until I was diagnosed. I got diagnosed sort of accidentally. It was actually through a lawsuit. When I found out, I was like, oh, this is why I have no friends and I get fired all the time. So I went to a therapist, and the common treatment is something called cognitive behavioral therapy. And the key word there is behavioral. They taught me how to change my behavior. And I learned how to pretend all day to be somebody I wasn't. And I suddenly had tons of friends. Great job, tons of money for the first time in my life, a relationship. Everything in theory was going well, and the CBT worked. Except I was literally all day, every day, pretending to be somebody else, which it turns out is quite exhausting. And then I had a massive burnout. I almost died. I didn't leave my closet for a year. And the only thing that I could do was listen to podcasts. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I was going to a million doctors. I completely lost the ability to speak. I should say I was a professional speaker, so that worked well. And then I figured out, oh, that's because you should just actually be yourself and not cover things up. How I survived was through discovering that autistic traits are just like any other human traits. But if you like spend all day trying to pretend you don't have blue eyes, it's just really tiring. Like you could put contacts in, you could wear sunglasses all day, but like at the end of the day, you're still going to have blue eyes. And like that was a lot of energy spent like trying to hide from everyone the truth of who you are, a blue-eyed person. Once I identified that, my voice came back, my agoraphobia went away. Like I was able to start working again very slowly. The first thing I did for work was, big surprise, my podcast. It became in the world of autism, we call it our monotropic focus. But like I could get into a flow state listening to podcasts or researching, oh, what's an autistic trait and how is this used positively? So researching these historical characters, Emily Dickinson, James Joyce, like reading every single book and trying to look for their autistic traits in their biographies. And that I suddenly had energy and could work.
So I'm going to play you a piece of music.
Okay.
And it's completely improvised. So I haven't thought about it at all. And I'd like you to tell me what it makes you think of. So that's anything that comes into mind. Don't overthink it.
Okay.
So what did you think of that?
Okay, when you have to have a really hard conversation with someone, and at least in autistic culture, we have a thing that we call scripting, which is like you're planning the conversation. Like, okay, I'm going to start by saying that, and then you're like, no, hold on. I'm going to start by saying this, and you're planning your script. To me, I was driving to talk to somebody and confront them about something difficult in our relationship. And with each of those like musical phrases, I was like, okay, I'm going to try this. Okay, wait, no, hold on. I'm going to try this. And it was just like, how do I get ready to have this difficult conversation? What are the right words that I can say?
Interesting. Start off very kind of simple, like just a few notes. So there's a sense that something might be falling apart when you talk about relationship. And then you kind of went to a more spiky kind of sound with that jump, D flat major 7. A bit like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe I should think about it like this. Thinking about different possibilities of this upcoming conversation.
Yeah. From a feeling perspective, I felt like this dissonance. Mm-hmm. I want to do this. I have to do this. But then at the same time, I don't want to do this. Do I have to do this? Like it was resolve. And then I would get this feeling of clarity. And then it would go back into something that felt sort of minor and dissident and not delightful or comfortable. But it wasn't all uncomfortable. So there was this part of me that's like, okay. And then I was like, argh.
But there's that thing where it's like uncomfortable but necessary.
Yeah.
You have to go through it.
Yeah, it was like a good bad.
I'd like you to tell me a story of some kind. And then I'm going to break the story down into sections and improvise a soundtrack to it.
My story is set in the rocky North Island of New Zealand. It starts with a car ride to a beach a couple hours from Auckland called Piha. As you're driving in, there's pastoral farmlands with grazing sheep. But then when you look over to where the water is, it looks like a volcano was yesterday. The highest cliffs, the most like jagged cliff edges, mountains crashing into the water. And I was going to Piha, which is where the movie The Piano was filmed. And like Harvey Keitel, the piano washes up on the beach. If you know that movie, you can picture this beach. So my friend Brian and I were going to Piha because this is where Crowded House recorded their fourth studio album. It's called Together Alone. And there is a producer there named Nigel Horrocks. There is this beautiful house that overlooks the beach that is actually a recording studio. And Brian was working on an album, and we were going to go to like Mecca, go to where Crowded House recorded our favorite album and work on some of his new songs. While we were driving there, we had the radio on and the lost dog report came on. So we learned about all the lost dogs in Piha. And when we got to the beach, Brian started writing a song called The Lost Dog Report. So we had walked out to the beach. We're sitting in this cave, in this like cliffy cave. He has a beautiful Ovation guitar. And we are writing the song. He's doing the chords. I'm writing the lyrics. We're like writing the song for the Lost Dog Report. I think there's like seals at the end of some beach point. There are surfers. We're there for like 4 hours. And then we are walking back to the car. And something tragic has happened. Our path back to the car has now been obstructed by a river in the middle of the beach. And there is no way back to where we're going without, it's kind of cold. We could take off our shoes and socks and roll up our pants and like walk through this river, but it's like a foot deep through this river. Trying to figure out what we're going to do. And it's like rocky and rushing water. And so Brian hands me his Ovation guitar and he's like, here, hold this for me. I'm going to see if I can run and leap across. You'll hand me the guitar and then you'll run and leap across. So I hold his guitar. He takes a running leap. He like falls in the river. I'm supposed to hand him his guitar and I look down and I am now almost up to my knees in quicksand. I'm like trying to get out of the quicksand and take my own running leap. But the more you try and move in quicksand, I don't know if you've ever been in quicksand, it's very bizarre, the more I was sinking. And so I could not stop laughing. Kept saying, this is just like that episode in Lost in Space. Like I kept talking about Lost in Space. And Brian looked at me and he's like, my guitar. And the guitar was getting closer and closer to the quicksand. So I raised my hands up. I put the Ovation guitar over my head. I then sunk just below my knees. Brian's on the other side of this river. He's yelling my guitar. I'm yelling something about Lost in Space. And then somebody comes up behind me and takes the guitar out of my hands. My immediate thought is, oh my God, the guitar is now getting stolen. Which makes no sense, but my brain was not being helpful. The guy who had a New Zealand accent says, is this an Ovation? And suddenly I keep going, I'm lost in space. I'm drowning in quicksand. There was another guy with him, like a tall, bald guy. And he like grabs my hand and he's helping me get out of the quicksand. And the other guy is talking to my friend Brian about his guitar, which I guess is a very nice guitar. At which point I realize it is my musical hero, the reason we're there, the lead singer of Crowded House, Neil Finn, who is talking to my friend Brian about the guitar, and the lead singer of Midnight Oil, Jim Mogini, who has helped me out of the quicksand. So they save the guitar. I take off my socks and shoes, but I walk through the river. They're in shorts and have no shoes on because they knew where they were going. But they were back at Nigel Hork's house at that recording studio. We walk back to the recording studio. I remember I had like an egg shaker. They were playing us the tracks that they recorded that day. And they handed me a towel, and I put the towel on, and then they poured this single malt whiskey that I did not drink. And there's a Crowded House song that was recorded on that album, Together Alone, where they're talking about being in that room, and the line goes, gathered up our clothes, got the washing done, in a long forgotten place, who'd be the first to run. And it was actually written in that room where I was standing. It has a line about the Persian rug, and I was on this Persian rug with my clothes that had been gathered up to get the washing done, in theory, drinking whiskey, although I wasn't, but I can pretend. I was shaking an egg shaker, listening to their music that they had recorded that day. I could not believe I was there. And that is my story of Quicksand on Peahead Beach.
What a story.
It's a great story. It's a great story when you are a super fan of a band, and that's how you get to meet your musical hero.
And the guitar, I mean, it would have been tragic if you just sunk into...
The star of the show, that ovation guitar.
Yeah.
Often when I tell this story to guitar players, they're like, oh, he has an ovation. I'm like, hello, back to me.
Yeah, right.
Lost in space, the quicksand. Nobody cares about the quicksand.
So musically then, I'm going to get a sense of the place. You said like this sort of jaggedy cliffs and this kind of crazy landscape. And then there's the walk on the beach. And then there's the quicksand. So that could be interesting musically. The fact that you were laughing, so you think that's kind of fun, but also it's quite dangerous because it's kind of counterintuitive, isn't it? Like the more you move to try and get out, the kind of more it sucks you into it. And then I'm going to get a sense of the rescue and the fact that you meet your musical heroes. Okay. So what did you think of that?
I think that was good. At the beginning, I was like, oh, this isn't as dramatic as I thought. But as soon as you got into the cliffs, I was like, okay, now I know where we are. Yeah, when you're driving in, it like It seems pastoral and calm. And then all of a sudden, you're like, the landscape opens up and you're like, where am I? It literally feels like the volcano was yesterday. And so as soon as you like swept in with some of those lower notes, I knew exactly which like part I was looking at of the mountain. And then there was even another part where I felt like I could see where the seals were that were like further out on some rocks. And it really gave a good sense of just how vast where you're looking out to like the end of the world.
Did you get the sense of this quicksand though?
Oh, did you? I did not get the quicksand. Was that at the end?
That was more like this sort of thing, where it was like,
Okay, I was putting the cliffs there.
oh, I see. What did you get for the quicksand? Or was it just in your mind about the landscape?
Yeah, it was really about the landscape. The quicksand is slower. When you're in quicksand, you are sinking quickly, but it's like if you imagine being in like a bathtub of jelly. Like it's like slow and comfortable and feels like everything's fine, but everything's actually terrible. It's not scary at all. It just feels like, well, I guess this is how I die. If you can picture slime and like when you're playing with slime, how even if it's changing shape quickly, it sort of feels slow at the same time.
Okay, can have another go at playing the quicksand then. It's deadly, but you wouldn't realize it.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
it's tricky.
How was that?
It was much closer. Where do you think you got to at the very end? Like, did you get to a rescue yet, or am I still in the quicksand?
I don't know. It's a sort of dying away kind of thing. I think it might have been.
It actually goes up at the end. You got it perfectly at the beginning where you're like, oh, this is fine. Oh, this is fine. Oh, wait, this is maybe not fine. And then it got almost like jazz. Then I was scrambling because then it was too late. Then it was like up to my knees. And so you kind of got calmer for the last like 8 notes, but it actually like right before the rescue, I was like, wait, this could actually be really bad. And so it was like slow, but then quick. So.
All right. Take 3 then.
Come in with that rescue. Yes. That was good.
That was good.
Yeah, nailed it.
It's tricky, actually, getting that sense of the relaxing but deadly
Right.
vibe. Yeah. you have another story you'd like to tell?
Let's see. Here's a fun one. As COVID was happening, I was on vacation with my father. We went to the pyramids in Egypt. And then since we were on that side of the world, we went to Palestine and Israel, like Jerusalem, for a couple days while we were there. And I don't know if you know anything about Jerusalem, but it's like, it's a walled city.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand that. But there are doors you can close on this old part of Jerusalem, this part of the city, which is where like the stations of the cross, where Jesus carried the cross and went through the town, that part has these doors. I think there's like 4, like northeast, southwest, whatever. The door that our hotel was near is called Jericho Gate, which it all sounds very biblical. So you've seen doors like this where huge door, I don't know, very 50-foot tall doors, and they have a lip. The doors are open, but when you get to this part of the city, and there's like shopping and there's churches and stuff like that, you have to kind of step over the lip of the door. And if they do close the doors, like that's how the door catches and how the door closes is with this lip. So I had divorced my husband almost 2 years before I went on this trip with my dad. And we had spent the day, we went to Palestine, we went to the church. And by the way, I grew up Catholic, but I'm not religious at all. And there's some Banksies. We crossed over from Jerusalem and there's the Hole in the Wall Hotel.
The Waldorf Hotel.
Waldorf Hotel, yeah.
Play on the wall, Waldorf, yeah.
Yeah. It's so good. Yeah, Waldorf Hotel. So we went there. The artwork on the wall is incredible. It was an interesting trip, but it was also very stressful because of COVID. We were getting kicked out the next day because they were closing down all the airports and the flying. So we had to leave. So it was super stressful. I was taking like one last look through the city. I was alone. It was late at night. It was dark. I wanted to walk through Jerusalem and I crossed that threshold. I like had to step through that gate. And when my foot went down inside the old city, like a movie, my entire marriage played back in my head. And I got this whole story, this completely different perspective on my marriage. I'm still not religious, but I have to describe this as a religious experience. I had spent the day at the Church of the Holy Nativity where like Jesus was supposedly born. I'm in this old city. You're hearing all these words. Like I'm sure it's psychological, but I get this sort of very clear message from whatever, God, the universe, something that explained to me why my marriage fell apart and what I needed to do to fix it. And it came to me like a whole movie all at once. But the gist of it was I had been traveling with my dad this whole time. And I realized that my relationship with my dad was like, I think many people always trying to get his approval. Like I wanted to pick the right restaurant and get the right hotel and like do the right thing and say the right thing. And for my dad to be like, wow, this trip was great. But with my husband, from the day I met him, everything I ever did was great. I never had to win his approval. I never had to get his approval. And when I stepped foot inside of Jericho Gate, this movie I got was like, all you have to do is stop chasing his love or stop chasing, like allow yourself to stop chasing in order to be worthy of love.
Right.
That was like the whole message. And I literally made one change, like forget marriage therapy. We did that. That didn't work. Like forget reading books about marriage or taking classes. Like we did all of that. None of it worked. It was just this shift in perspective that I got at the gates of Jericho that was like, oh, he's just trying to love me. Stop fighting it. So that's my little love story for you.
But this is after you'd broken up.
We got remarried.
You got remarried, I see.
I went home. I told him it was COVID. He had a flight back to England and he didn't take it. It was a COVID reunion. Everyone else was breaking up and we got back together.
Right. And are you still together?
We're very married. That is why I live here in England.
Right. Yeah, it's a good story. What was the vibe of Jerusalem like?
It's so heavy. That door is so big and the wood for the door is so thick. And when you're inside, it's so storied. Like, here you might see a sign that's like a famous person lived here 2,000 years ago or something. Like you see like historical signs. Like ours are always George Washington slept here. It's like that, but it's the Stations of the Cross. It's like, here's where Jesus healed the man who couldn't walk. Or this was Anna, Jesus's grandmother's house. This is where he turned the fish into loaves. Or I'm getting the stories wrong because I'm not into the Jesus thing. But it's like magnificently heavy. And then the people walking around, not everybody, but like a lot of people do believe it. So you're in this holy place, and it's, even if you walk into like a church on the corner, you can feel holy if you're not holy. You know what I mean? But like walking inside of the old city, you're like, wow, maybe this is all real. Like, so I felt just odd.
I'm going to get a sense of Jerusalem in general. This kind of heaviness. You feel like it's kind of important on a plane that is intangible. Did you say that was right?
Everything is familiar.
Right.
It's like you're inside a storybook. Old cobblestones, old buildings. It's got that like very weathered, people have been walking these streets for thousands of years feeling.
Okay. And then musically, what should I go for this sort of psychic film that you experience as you step through the door?
I'm getting like John Williams vibes, but do you know the moment where E.T. on Halloween, the bike starts flying? I was suddenly like, wait, am I having a spiritual experience? And it was like Elliot, where he's like, wait, is this bike flying?
Yeah. So there's an uplift, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
Okay. All right. Here we go then. How was that?
That was good. It had a very love story, like almost 70s cinematic feel to it. Yeah, that really captured it.
So that reflected your story?
Yeah. It had a very homecoming feel, which I think was like just the perfect emotional tone for it. And I think that it really captured that sort of sense of knowing. Was that a major key?
I don't know. I was flipping about A flat major, maybe. And then these parallel sort of thirds in.
Because there's like nostalgia, but also hope.
Yeah.
It had like a positive feeling, even though it was kind of pulling on your heartstrings, but not in a sad way. It was like played like a minor song, but I think it was in a major key, and that's why I feel like this.
It was playing with the whole kind of familiarity thing. You know,
Yeah.
actually.
And it is, what's true about that too is like our relationship is super familiar because obviously we were already married, so we already knew each other, but it's also completely different at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's got all that like homecoming and nostalgia, but it's also completely new and fresh.
So what did you get out of this podcast?
I mean, I think it's really fun to explore your emotions through music. I learned how to not feel my emotions and just pretend to be someone else. But I think like the therapeutic effect of something like this, like I think this would be better therapy for a newly diagnosed autistic person than like learning how to be different, because I think you don't always know how you feel.
Yeah.
And so I've told that story about the quicksand so many times, but I was like, wait, no, it kind of felt good. Like it was good and bad at the same time. And it's in therapy when you sit down, they're like, how do you feel? How does this feel? How was your day? And I'm like, stop asking me questions. I don't know.
Yeah.
But when you do it through storytelling like this and then you played it, I'm like, nope, it didn't feel like that. Play it another way.
Yeah.
And so it was a much more robust way to get in touch with my emotions than with words, because I'm so good with words. I'll write you the answer. I'll give you the right answer. I'll get an A on the paper, but it's not actually how I feel. So yeah, music is so powerful.
Yeah. And do you think you have a different relationship with that story of the quicksand since listening to me play a soundtrack?
Yeah, totally.
So you're from the US and you're from Washington, D.C., but you live in Portishead.
Yes. So I am a North Somerset girl now.
So if people want to check out the Autistic Culture Podcast, where can they find that?
Yep. The best way to find me is at Autistic Culture Podcast Network.com. Autistic Culture Podcast Network.com. But if you search Autistic Culture, you will find me front and center on any search engine.
Okay. And is there anything else you'd like to plug?
Yeah, I think the most exciting thing right now that we have going on is all of the shows that are launching. But we also have a newsletter that you can sign up for. And if you do, you get lots of fun freebies like my book, Am I Actually Autistic? Go to autisticculturepodcastnetwork.com and you'll get the link, or you can get my book on Amazon.
Great. Well, thank you very much. It's been very insightful, especially your sort of theory on autism and your insight into that, as well as your stories.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Join us again for another episode of ImproPod. Thanks for listening.